Hi and welcome. This is Ricky coming at you. We're doing essay, audio essay for today, and it's about games people play. Um, I am in my second uh, section now. I was doing teacher of students, and now I'm doing teacher of teachers, and it requires some audio essays this time, along with my written ones. So I'm doing the best I can. Today, like I said, doing games people play, and this is about all the different ways that we keep ourselves here, all the different stories that we tell ourselves. Um, and it isn't just a matter of me saying something like, "Oh, thinking in my head about pink elephants and oh, I just saw one walking down the street," and so forth. But what happens is I start a story in my mind, and then I say it, and what happens is I start believing my stories. No, it didn't happen that way. It happened this way. And I go into um, every detail, and the more I say it, the more I believe it. And the more I believe it, the more I say it to others. And it becomes not just a story. In my mind, it becomes a fact. And that these are how things are. They are always this way. I always knew it was this way. And it's amazing how we can get so stuck in those stories, and those stories can become memories, and then the memories themselves, um, we can get defined by that, you know, um, whether or not something happened at any given time. We define ourselves by the stories that others have told us, or by the stories that we tell ourselves. So it can get to be very very different. When we start, no wonder that we don't know who the heck we are, because we keep reinventing who we are, every second of every day. For a lot of us, for a lot of us, the thought of what I titled this games people play might sound a little harsh. Uh, the fact that I'm calling it a game, I think the game was set up before we came down here. The way to play, the rules and whatnot. I mean, we all know God got tired, bored actually. I mean, he's the all that is, and there isn't anything else to do. So what do when you're bored? You play with yourself, and that's exactly kind of what happened here. Is he decided that he wanted a little playmate. He wanted to experience something he wanted to experience, you know. So he made himself a little kid. That's us, Christ, the little kid. And the way it seems to work is that we are Christ, the experiencer. So you have Christ, and Christ is the experiencer. So he comes down here. It's kind of cool, and it's kind of like having. My teacher calls it a blank canvas, where we're able to just, explore. It's like, what would somebody that is all there is give their little kid? A blank canvas, so they can experience all there is to experience. And Daddy just happened to be hanging and tagging along with us as we did it. It's fun, you know. And yeah, I can get mad at God. I especially when this information started surfacing. You mean you decided to create us and have us come down and and do all these things and play all these games and be all this way because you got bored? You know, so at first it got a little nuts, but now I'm starting to really enjoy it. Uh, when you're playing a game and you don't really know what the rules are, you just wake up one morning and you're playing it. Um, it can get really crazy, especially when, besides the blank canvas, you're being given the thought that you can, you know, that you have free will to do anything you want to do down here. So you create a person, and then you let them believe that they can do anything they want to, anytime they want to, any way they want to, but not really. It's just an illusion. like, haha, you thought you could do this, but you can't. Enjoy yourself anyway. So we're down here creating, well, actually, we're more making things than creating things. Creating things, kind of tend to be permanent, and making things, kind of fall apart at the next second. So anyway, back to the pink elephants. Um, so I say a story, or I come up with an idea of something long enough and talk about it long enough that it becomes real and it becomes in me, you know, and that's how I define myself. So the course is cool because it comes along and it teaches us through release, surrender, and the ability to forgive what we've created by just erasing it. Like forgiveness is the greatest eraser going, because you step into that and you just start erasing. It just releases it, and it releases it from my memory, and it releases it from who I think I am, and slowly but surely I start, as I release the who I am, the what I believe, the how I think, blah blah blah. The more I release of that, the more the true picture. Because see, I'm doing all this as an overlay, because the real me, the real who I am, the real Christ is in there, right there, and Daddy is right along with us. So while all this is going on, um, the more I can erase of it, the more I can release of it. Guess what? The more I start finding out who I really am. Because I've been writing on that blank canvas for a long time, and it's not blank now. It's got this and that on it, and everything on it, and then it continued on next lifetime. So then it's got all the memories of this, that, and the other thing, and what gets reinforced, and how it goes, and all that neat stuff. So slowly but surely, with God's help, I'm able to forget through forgiveness and forgiveness of self, just releasing all this, because we're one anyway. you know um, God wanted a playmate. He created Christ, and that's us. And then we wanted playmates, so we created 90 billion trillion of them, you know all with a story, and all with the ability to believe they have free will and, quote unquote, create. So more and more and more and more and more and more. And, you start wondering, you know, what is what's the point of the game? Well, the point of the game is that by releasing, by forgiving self, by slowly using that eraser, we get back to who we are. See, we never left the garden. God's not a cruel, nasty daddy. He didn't say, "Okay, I created you. I want to explore with you, so I'm just gonna kick you out, and you're never gonna have a way back. And who cares anyway?" Sometimes I think that way, but that's not the real way, because we never leave the garden. We just, through the knowledge of good and evil, we get caught up in this kind of stuff down here that we get to play with. That's probably the name of the game anyway, is um, the knowledge of good and evil. Because truly, there is no good and evil. There's only God. Yep, God's everything. That's the spoiler. There is no evil. There's only God. Isn't that neat? Isn't that neat to know we were God so loved us that He created us so He could hang out with us. God is in us. God is with us every step of the way. We've never been alone. And like I said, we've never been out of the garden. You know, uh, but here we are down here playing. God's God. God's in us. God created us. God knows the rules of the game. We're the ones that don't. So we're playing. It's like the daddy with the kid, and the kid's creating dinosaurs and saving the world, and then gets tired and moves on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, the next game. And That's how they're set up. You know, I'm not saying that horrendous things don't happen, while we're playing the game, or they seem to happen, and they are horrendous, and they feel horrendous, but that's all part of the experiencing too. Um, we just, and I have had horrendous things happen. And when I do get to that place that I'm able to, and it's hard to get there too, let me tell you, because when you're raised with horrendousness, like by your parents or anything, um, it just festers and it just builds, and then we start. Well, I'm this way because of this and because of that and because they did this, and it wasn't supposed to happen, and it was bad, and so I'm like this now, and it's not my fault, and just all the games people play, all the stuff, excuse me, that we supposedly do to each other, but there is no each other, and it just keeps coming around and coming around. But the only answer is forgiveness. The more that we can stay in that place of love, the more I can get quiet and feel God, feel the love, feel the beauty. You know, I mean, God is such a part of me. God is so right there. I can't see where I leave off and God starts, because it's all God. And as I learn through the Course in Miracles, it allows me to share. And I'm not ascended, but I'm sure working on it. I work on releasing regularly, and I pray you do too. And the way to really see what is underneath that overlay, for me anyway, is just learning to stop creating or making, and just the acceptance of where things are and how they are. I know I've been round and round in circles, but I like to hope that you can get something out of what I was saying today. And I love you all. God bless you, and have an awesome day.